Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel today. Recently, you have probably seen on the news that everyone is talking about the son of the Democratic presidential candidate, Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden. On October 14th, in the year 2020, the New York Post released a bombshell article about Hunter Biden and his alleged laptop that was recovered in Joe Biden's home state of Delaware in the United States. Several mainstream conservatives and Republican news outlets, including U.S. President Donald Trump, have reported the story claiming that it completely discredits Joe Biden's campaign and the laptop contains highly classified and potentially criminal information. While that much may be true, I'm sure many are also confused as to what exactly they did find and exactly how incriminating is it. Currently, the people on the right are saying that it discredits Joe Biden, and the people on the left are claiming that this is nothing but a smear campaign of misinformation to attack Joe Biden. Today, we will be separating fact from fiction, and I will go over all the known current details at this time, so let's get started. First, I want to go over and quote excerpts from the original New York Post article that talked about this Hunter Biden storyline, so that you can hear exactly what they had to say. Hunter Biden introduced his father, then Vice President Joe Biden, to a top executive at a Ukrainian energy firm less than a year before the elder Biden pressured government officials in Ukraine into firing a prosecutor who was investigating the company, according to emails obtained by the Post. The never-before-revealed meeting is mentioned in a message of appreciation that Vadim Pozharsky, an advisor to the board of Burisma, allegedly sent Hunter Biden on April 17, 2015, about a year after Hunter joined the Burisma board at a reported salary of up to $50,000 a month. Just to clarify, Burisma is a holding company for a group of energy exploration and production companies that is based in Ukraine. Now back to the original article, and I also would like to mention that I will try my best to pronounce these Ukrainian names, and forgive me if I do butcher it. But anyway, let's continue. The computer was dropped off at a repair shop in Biden's home state of Delaware in April 2019, according to the store's owner. Other material extracted from the computer includes a raunchy 12-minute video that appears to show Hunter Biden, who's admitted struggling with addiction problems, smoking crack while engaged in a sex act with an unidentified woman, as well as numerous other sexually explicit images. The customer who brought in the water-damaged MacBook Pro for repair never paid for the service or retrieved it or a hard drive on which its contents were stored, according to the shop owner, who said he tried repeatedly to contact the client. The shop owner couldn't positively identify the customer as Hunter Biden, but said the laptop bore a sticker from the Beau Biden Foundation, named after Hunter's late brother and former Delaware Attorney General. Photos of a Delaware federal subpoena given to the Post show that both the computer and hard drive were seized by the FBI in December of 2019, after the shop's owner says he alerted the feds to their existence. But before turning over the gear, the shop owner says he made a copy of the hard drive and later gave it to former Mayor Rudy Giuliani's lawyer, Robert Costello. And for those of you who don't know, Rudy Giuliani was the former mayor of New York City and now is a current Republican with close ties to Trump. But let's continue. Steve Bannon, former advisor to President Trump, told the Post about the existence of the hard drive in late September, and Giuliani provided the Post with a copy of it on Sunday. Less than 8 months after Pozharsky thanked Hunter Biden for the introduction to his dad, the then vice president admittedly pressured Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko and Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk into getting rid of Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin by threatening to withhold a $1 billion U.S. loan guarantee during a December 2015 trip to Kiev, which is a city in Ukraine. By threatening to withhold a $1 billion U.S. loan guarantee, quote, "I looked at them and said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor is not fired, you're not getting the money," Biden said infamously as he bragged to the Council on Foreign Relations in 2018. Well, son of a gun, he got fired. Quote, Shokin has said that at the time of his firing, in March 2016, he had made specific plans to investigate Burisma that included interrogations and other crime investigation procedures into all members of the executive board, including Hunter Biden. Joe Biden has insisted that the U.S. wanted Shokin removed over corruption concerns, which were shared by the European Union. Meanwhile, an email dated May 12, 2014, shortly after Hunter Biden joined the Burisma board, shows Pozharsky attempting to get him to use his political leverage to help the company. The message had the subject line, "Urgent Issue," and was also sent to Hunter Biden's business partner, Devon Archer, who also sat on the Burisma board at the time. Pozwarski said that the representatives of new authorities in power tend to quite aggressively approach NZ, unofficially with the aim to obtain cash for him. NZ isn't identified in the email, but appears to be a reference to Burisma founder Mykola Zlochevsky, whose first name is a Ukrainian version of Nicholas. When the alleged shakedown failed, they proceeded with concrete actions in the form of one or more pre-trial proceedings. Pozwarski wrote, "We urgently need your advice on how you could use your influence to convey a message / signal, etc. to stop what we consider to be politically motivated actions," he added. Hunter Biden responded by saying he was with Archer in Doha, Qatar, and asked for more information about the formal, if any, accusations being made against Burisma. Who is ultimately behind these attacks on the company? Who in the current interim government could put an end to such attacks? He added. The exchange came the same day that Burisma announced it had expanded its board of directors by adding Hunter Biden, who was put in charge of its legal unit and will provide support for the company among international organizations, according to a news release that's since been scrubbed from Burisma's website. Hunter Biden actually joined the board in April 2014, according to multiple reports. His lawyers said last year that Hunter was not a member of the management team, adding, "At no time was Hunter in charge of the company's legal affairs." About 4 months after Hunter Biden's correspondence with Pozwarski, Archer forwarded Hunter Biden an email chain with the subject line, "Tax Raise Impact on Burisma Production," which included Pozwarski saying that the Ukrainian cabinet had submitted new tax legislation to the country's parliament. If enacted, this law would kill the entire private gas production sector in the bud, Pozwarski wrote. In the September 24, 2014 email, Pozwarski also said he was going to share this information with the U.S. Embassy here in Kyiv, as well as the office of Mr. Amos Hochstein in the States. At the time, Hochstein was the State Department's newly appointed Special Envoy and Coordinator for International Energy Affairs. In December 2017, the Naftogaz Group, Ukraine's state-owned energy company, announced that Hochstein had joined the company as an independent director, but on Monday he announced his resignation. The company has been forced to spend endless amounts of time combating political pressure and efforts by oligarchs to enrich themselves through questionable transactions, Hochstein wrote in an op-ed published by the Kyiv Post. In addition to denying that he's spoken to Hunter Biden about his overseas business dealings, Joe Biden has repeatedly denied any conflict of interest or wrongdoing by either of them involving Burisma. Last February, he got testy during an appearance on NBC's Today Show when co-host Savannah Guthrie questioned whether it was wrong for Hunter to take that position, knowing that it was really because that company wanted access to you, Joe Biden. "Well, that's not true. You're saying things you do not know what you're talking about," the elder Biden responded. Last December, Joe Biden also lashed out during a Democratic primary town hall event in Iowa, where a man accused him of sending Hunter to Ukraine to get a job and work for a gas company. He had no experience with gas or nothing in order to get access to the president. "You're a damn liar, man. That's not true, and no one has ever said that," Biden fumed. Biden then continued berating the man as he stepped forward, calling the man fat, and challenged him to do push-ups together, man. The FBI referred questions about its seizure of the laptop and hard drive to the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office, where a spokesperson said, "My office can neither confirm nor deny the existence of an investigation." Hunter Biden's lawyer refused to comment on the specifics, but instead attacked Giuliani. He has been pushing widely discredited conspiracy theories about the Biden family, openly relying on actors tied to Russian intelligence, the lawyer George R. Messier said of Giuliani. So that was the original article by the New York Post. Let me simplify and break down the claims that the New York Post made in their article. All in all, someone unidentified currently dropped off a laptop that supposedly contained specific information to Hunter Biden and his past job working at the Ukrainian energy company Burisma. This laptop was then recovered by the FBI. However, a copy of it was given to Rudy Giuliani's lawyer, and in case you didn't know, Rudy Giuliani was the former mayor of New York City and now has a close relationship with our president, Donald Trump. Within the information found in the laptop, it alludes to the fact that Joe Biden was using his influence as the United States vice president to help the Burisma company. So overall, I have to admit that this article does seem very interesting. Even while reading it though with an open mind, maybe you also notice yourself that there are a lot of leaps in logic and several holes in their story that honestly just don't make sense, especially with the information that we have available right now. Quoting from several other articles that have also looked into the story, here's what I found that best summarizes the key points that don't really make sense in the original New York Post article. This is what an article from the NPR had to say on the issue. To start, the emails have not been verified as authentic. They were said to have been extracted from a computer, assumed, but not proven, to have belonged to the younger Biden. They were said to have been given to the Post by Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, who is known for making discredited claims about the Bidens. The venue is also suspect. The pro-Trump New York Post is owned by Rupert Murdoch, a steady supporter of the president despite recently casting doubt on Trump's re-election prospects. The lead reporter was a former producer for Sean Hannity, Trump's best friend on his favorite news network, Fox News, also controlled by the Murdochs, and the story asserted the existence of a meeting absent any documentation that it actually occurred. The Biden campaign says the tabloid never sought comment on the veracity of the claims. From pillar to post, the tabloid asserted as fact things presumed to be true. While the headline links the former vice president to his son's business dealings, the story serves up no proof. It rests upon an email, supposedly from a Ukrainian businessman, to the younger Biden, thanking him for an opportunity to, quote, meet your father. Biden's campaign spokesman, Andrew Bates, responded, quote, "We have reviewed Joe Biden's official schedules from the time, and no meeting as alleged by the New York Post ever took place. There is some wiggle room in that denial, but that's not proof either." The New York Post nonetheless asserted breathlessly and assuredly that there was a never-before-revealed meeting. Second, let's talk about the origin of those emails. Working backward from the article's account, the New York Post secured them from a copy of a laptop's hard drive given to the paper by Giuliani, after learning of their existence from former Trump campaign CEO and political advisor Steve Bannon. The laptop had been taken to a repair shop in Delaware. The shop's owner appears to have reviewed its contents and given it to the FBI, after making a copy and delivering that to Giuliani's attorney. The New York Post reported that the computer repair specialist couldn't positively identify the customer as Hunter Biden, but said the laptop bore a sticker from the Beau Biden Foundation named after Hunter's late brother. So it's not clear who brought it in. Few advocates and surrogates have been more dogged on Trump's behalf than the former New York City mayor and U.S. attorney, especially on the topic of Ukraine and the Bidens. Giuliani has repeatedly amplified discredited claims to the point that Fox News' internal research team warned the network's journalists against relying upon him. Among the sources Giuliani turned to was a man whom the Trump administration's Treasury Department has designated as a Russian agent. Last month, Treasury officials said Andriy Dyrkok has pushed disinformation in Ukraine to spur unfounded corruption investigations and media coverage in hopes of damaging Biden and influencing the 2020 race. Giuliani did not respond to a message seeking comment for this story. This story would fit neatly within that rubric. We don't know whether those emails were somehow hacked and doctored or completely fabricated. Even Murdoch's Wall Street Journal acknowledged the point, writing, assuming the emails turned up by the New York Post are real, as it editorialized against Twitter and Facebook. Post Deputy Political Editor Emma Jo Morris reports on Biden this past week constitute the sum total of her professional bylines. That is, other than some posts Morris wrote in the summer of 2015 as a college intern for the conservative Washington Free Beacon. Prior to joining the Post in early spring, Morris's most prominent media job involved her 3 years and 8 months as a producer for Hannity, the Fox News star, who was one of the president's closest advisors. Morris did not reply to requests for comment sent to her social media accounts. She shared bylines with Gabrielle Fonrogue, a 6-year veteran of the Post, who earlier reported for NPR member station WSHU in Connecticut. On Fox, Hannity repeatedly has suggested Joe Biden acted improperly in Ukraine. Let us remember that Trump's demand for investigations of the Biden's actions in Ukraine formed the foundation of the president's impeachment by the House of Representatives last year. Hannity actively sought to discredit those who offered damning testimony against the president. The New York Post story and its ensuing allegations against Hunter Biden, based on the same cache material, has propelled its corporate cousin as well. As the days tick down toward Election Day, Fox News took inspiration from the tabloid's reporting to unleash a fusillade against the former vice president across its most watched shows, like the grand finale of a fireworks display. This is also what the New York Times had to say on the matter. Bruce Golding, a reporter at the Rupert Murdoch-owned tabloid since 2007, did not allow his byline to be used because he had concerns over the article's credibility, the two Post employees said, speaking on the condition of anonymity out of fear for retaliation. Coming late in a heated presidential campaign, the article suggested that Joseph R. Biden Jr. had used his position to enrich his son Hunter, which he was vice president. Coming late in a heated presidential campaign, the article suggested that Joseph Biden Jr. had used his position to enrich his son Hunter when he was vice president. The Post based the story on photos and documents the paper said it had taken from the hard drive of a laptop purportedly belonging to Hunter Biden. Many Post staff members questioned whether the paper had done enough to verify the authenticity of the hard drive's contents, said 5 people with knowledge of the tabloid's inner workings. Staff members also had concerns about the reliability of its sources and its timing, the people said. It appears evident that the people who wrote and have pushed the story all did so with the intention of trying to discredit Joe Biden's legitimacy as a presidential candidate. This entire story does nothing but help Trump's re-election campaign by allowing him to use it as a weapon against Biden, similar to the 2016 Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's email scandal. In this next article, this is what CBS News had to say after interviewing the man who actually turned over the laptop himself, Jonathan McIsaac. Here it is. The owner of the repair store's political motivations came to light in the interview of CBS News and a few other reporters, raising even more questions about the veracity of how this supposed laptop became public. McIsaac, the owner, said several times how he felt Mr. Trump was treated unfairly during his impeachment trial and suggested if the alleged documents are true, the sham impeachment was reason to release them. He also repeatedly mentioned his girlfriend left him after he voted for Trump in 2016. And I'm going to go a little bit off topic here, but I'm sorry, I just find that so hilarious. But moving on. Asked about the timeline of events detailed in the Post story, McIsaac told CBS News that a man who identified himself as Hunter Biden dropped off 3 laptops to have them repaired in April 2019. He said the man never paid him for the repairs and did not return to pick them up. Standing in his shop on Wednesday, McIsaac admitted he was unable to confirm it was actually Hunter Biden who dropped off the laptop because he is, quote, legally blind, and only realized it was the former vice president's son when Hunter stated his name for the point of contact. The Mac shop is equipped with indoor cameras that preserve recordings for 2 months. McIsaac said he did not realize the significance of the laptops until after the footage was automatically deleted. McIsaac also would not reveal when he first looked through the data and refused to provide key details about his handling of the material. Asked by CBS if he actually saw the email purportedly from Pozwarski, he repeatedly said no comment before saying he believed he had. McIsaac refused to answer in any detail whether or why he would have searched through the laptop to find a 4-year-old email, which seemingly appears to be an innocuous message about arranging a meeting for coffee. I usually don't want to interrupt in the middle of reading these articles, but it's just so hilarious seeing how he's flip-flopping on so many issues in this one interview. But regardless, let's keep moving on. He told CBS News he reached out to the FBI through people that he trusted and was eventually put in contact with 2 FBI agents. On December 9th, 2019, he was issued a subpoena demanding he turn over the laptop and hard drive to a federal grand jury in Wilmington, according to a photo of a copy of the subpoena published by the Post and confirmed by McIsaac. He said he complied and turned over the hardware, but first made a copy of the hard drive's contents. McIsaac described becoming frustrated while watching Mr. Trump's Senate impeachment trial in January with no updates from the FBI. This country had its 3rd impeachment, and I honestly feel like it was a sham because of what I had seen, McIsaac said. The FBI declined the comment, and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Wilmington said it could neither confirm nor deny the existence of an investigation. McIsaac contradicted himself repeatedly about why he wanted to share the alleged contents of the hard drive. He first asserted he went to the FBI for protection, fearing possible retribution from the Biden family. When the FBI supposedly did not act, he said he thought the FBI could be out to get him, which is why he turned to Giuliani. McIsaac responded to most questions about Giuliani with no comment, saying he didn't feel comfortable discussing it. He declined to say whether he sought Giuliani out or vice versa, but he indicated he viewed the former New York mayor as a potential ally. When you are afraid and you don't know anything about the depth of waters that you're in, you want to find a lifeboat, he said. I was told not to talk to anybody else, McIsaac said at one point, refusing to provide specifics. Giuliani told CBS News on Wednesday that McIsaac had reached out to Costello around the time of the impeachment hearings, and that he has neither met nor spoken to him personally. Over the course of the interview, McIsaac said he felt his life and business were in danger by possessing this information, invoking debunked conspiracy theories of revenge, specifically mentioning false allegations that a Democratic National Committee staffer was murdered in 2016 to cover up his supposed involvement in leaking Democratic Party emails. The emails were in fact stolen by Russian intelligence operatives, and the conspiracy theory surrounding his death was boosted by a Russian disinformation campaign. The U.S. intelligence community has warned for months that Russia is actively working to denigrate Biden by amplifying allegations of corruption, and experts have issued dire warnings that Russia could orchestrate a hack and dump operation similar to its efforts to steal and release stolen Democratic emails in the run-up to the 2016 election. Moreover, Russian hackers are believed to have breached Burisma systems earlier this year, and Giuliani himself has been tied to Ukrainian lawmaker acting as a Russian agent who has publicized private recordings of Biden speaking to Ukrainian officials in the past. But as of now, there is no evidence that Russia was directly involved in obtaining or publicizing the alleged information on Hunter Biden's laptop. The Biden campaign has also offered no alternate explanation for how this alleged personal information came to light. In August, an assessment by the U.S. intelligence community singled out the Ukrainian parliamentarian, Andriy Durkok, for spreading claims about corruption, including through publicizing leaked phone calls to undermine former Vice President Biden's candidacy and the Democratic Party. The Treasury Department leveled sanctions against Durkok in September, describing him as an active Russian agent who has done the Kremlin's bidding for more than a decade. Durkok and Giuliani met in Ukraine last December at the height of the impeachment saga, as Giuliani worked to uncover damaging information about Hunter Biden. In January, the cybersecurity firm Area 1 revealed Russian military operatives had launched a phishing attack against Burisma and accessed its systems. The extent of the breach was unclear, but the report said the attack raises the specter that this is an early warning of what we have anticipated since the successful cyber attacks undertaken during the 2016 U.S. elections. Jonathan McIsaac can, at best, be described as a passionate Trump supporter and working-class citizen, and at worst, as an extremely paranoid and half-baked conspiracy theorist. Probably the most damaging info to his legitimacy is unfortunately the fact that he's legally blind. In the original New York Post article, there was no claim that he could identify the person who dropped off the laptop as Hunter Biden. Yet, he flipped his stance saying that it was. One of those is obviously a lie, and it isn't clear what the truth actually is given his impairment. How convenient. And the fact that he was just willing to simply state that I was told not to say certain things. Who would have told him that? Especially since Rudy Giuliani has claimed that he hasn't even come into contact with him, but at the very least we know that Jonathan McIsaac was in contact with his lawyer. For my conclusion, I present you with an excerpt from the New York Times that summarized the results of a Republican Senate lead investigation that looked into possible foul play between Hunter Biden, Burisma, and Joe Biden. This Senate report came out in the middle of September, and here is what it says. The investigation found that Hunter Biden had cashed in on his father's name to close lucrative business deals around the world. It also concluded that his work for Burisma Holdings, a Ukrainian energy company then mired in a corruption scandal, while the former vice president was directing American policy toward Kiev, had given the appearance of a conflict of interest and alarmed some State Department officials. But an 87-page report summing up the findings released jointly on Wednesday by the Senate Homeland Security and Finance Committees contained no evidence that the elder Mr. Biden improperly manipulated American policy toward Ukraine or committed any other misdeed. Like I said, this investigation was concluded at the end of September of this year 2020, more than a month ago. The U.S. Senate Republicans were in charge of the very same claims that the New York Post article is making just this last week. And as you read, they found no wrongdoing whatsoever. And yes, I know I'm not reading to you the actual report and what the report says. However, I have substantiated the claims and everyone has come to the conclusion that Joe Biden had no wrongdoing in terms of his policy for Ukraine. I would call this the final nail in the coffin of the story, but that would be too easy because the right-wing media will refuse to remind you of this revelation. I will be posting a following up video giving more of an opinionated stance on where I fall with this issue. And yes, while I did include some of my opinions in this entire video, I didn't really go in depth with them. If anything, I was making fun and poking fun at the fact of all of the holes that are just so present and no one seems to be talking about at this time. At the time of writing the script, the second presidential debate, which is technically the third, but the second got canceled because President Trump refused to debate Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden virtually. Nevertheless, this is what is actually known. We know that a laptop was recovered by the FBI. Even though the FBI can't state that they are investigating the contents of the laptop, that doesn't mean that they are not doing it. The Post did acquire several forms of media and information from someone with text and photos of Hunter Biden. What is not true is the fact that any substantial hard evidence has been brought forth that actually implicates Joe Biden in any wrongdoing with this Ukraine scandal. While it is not known that this story was manufactured as a result of a Russian disinformation campaign, it is clearly obvious that the people who have pushed this story the hardest, including the ones who wrote it, are right-wing Republicans, conservatives who are trying to negatively smear the campaign of Joe Biden. Whether or not it's working remains to be seen. However, I ask everyone to keep an open mind. Just because President Donald Trump and Fox News say something is true doesn't mean it really is. At one point in the future, perhaps the FBI will finish their investigation and they will release their findings to the public. It is possible that they may find more incriminating evidence about Joe Biden and his dealings with Ukraine, but as of right now, it remains to be seen. However, I ask everyone to keep an open mind that just because President Donald Trump and Fox News says something is true doesn't mean it really is. And anyone right now who claims to have seen the contents of the laptop that has no evidence whatsoever, do not believe them. We need to wait for the FBI to finish their investigation before we can fully commit to saying what was exactly on the laptop. Thank you for tuning into today's video, everyone. More videos will be coming soon. If you enjoyed today's content, then don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more unbiased political content that gives you nothing but the truth. Thank you and have a good day.